Hey Hakafa, it's Joe Greenberg coming at you live from Highland Park, Illinois with my best friend, Toby, okay? And we are today going to tell you and show you how to make Charosets. And with that in mind, my friend has now gone outside because he's no longer invited. So I was asked today to bring you the great goodness of my favorite Passover food. And I know it's a couple days into Passover and you're probably thinking, gosh, I wish I had this recipe earlier on, but you didn't. Not a big deal. You can still make this right now or any time during the year. So it is all about the traditional Jewish aspects and Charoset. Charoset is a combination of apples, honey, walnuts, and wine. Anything you add to that beyond that is your own excitement, your own kind of living large kind of stuff. But this recipe I've been using since the very founding of Hakafa, back when Come Chameleon was #1 on the Billboard chart. I checked it out this morning. So the first thing we're going to have to start with is an apple. And what we have to do with an apple is we take our peeler and we peel our apple. And peeling the apple is one of the most important things. I do not believe in food processors because I believe they're a product of bad people. No, food processors are great, but just not for this kind of purpose, because we want to keep everything to feel as though human hands that were washed vigorously for at least 20 seconds were involved in the process of making it. Second thing we need for our Charoset is our cutting board and our knife. So with that, I cut the apple into pieces, carefully not letting the actual core get into it or the peel. Henry, can you please grab me my apple? My apples are right there. So we're going to put the core and peel over here. And I now have my apples all cut up. And in this we have 5 apples. I'm a big fan of Granny Smith apples because Granny Smith apples have just that tartness that make them exciting and pop in your mouth. They go in the bag. The next thing on our list, Hank, grab this please. Thank you. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our walnuts, and for giggles right now, I'll show you how I do the walnuts. I use a clean, not a dirty towel from the house. I cover them up, and then I use my favorite Hakafa founding member Grandma Jones mallet, and I mash them. And the idea is by mashing your walnuts, you get them not from large walnut size, but to little itsy bitsy walnut size. I like them almost powdered, almost itsy bitsy sized. Sometimes a little bigger, but that's pretty much it. And this is exactly as measured out, 1.5 cups of walnuts. I do not recommend this if you have a nut allergy. It's not going to be good, so do not do that. We should always let people know what goes in our Charoset. This Charoset is Charoset with nuts. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our apricots. And these apricots come in all different kinds of flavors. Not really flavors, they're all apricots. But these are Californian style apricots. Not my favorite because they don't have the necessary kind of yum to it. I don't like using the organic, super organic, non-flavored apricots. I like to use the highly processed ones. Don't ask, I know it's bad, but that's what we do. That's how I'm raising my world. And mash them all up, and we take that and we put that into our bowl. And that was exactly 6 ounces of apricots. Can't go wrong with apricots. Apricots are delicious. Next step up, Henry, can you hand me that package, please? Thank you. These are my favorite figs. These are Jenny figs. Why Jenny figs versus other figs? because my wife's name is Jennifer, and that only makes sense to me. So I take the figs, and when I do the figs, I want to make sure that I remove the tippy top part of it, the stem part, because nobody likes biting into a fig that's got a stem. So I cut the figs up. Come in closer here, Henry. And you can see how beautiful the figs are on the inside. Just take a look at that. It is absolutely beautiful. All these little seeds get out there, and they're delicious. If you can't have seeds, don't add the figs. With that in mind, we're going to chop figs. Figs, Henry. And the figs now go in the bucket. Next step up is we add our wine. I recommend Manischewitz blackberry wine because it's so sugary it can last in your refrigerator for eons without going bad. This calls for my recipe that I put together, calls for a half cup of Manischewitz blackberry wine. I'm just measuring it out and seeing where it goes. Can't add too much, can't add too little. If it's too watery, add more walnuts, or you add too much, and it's gonna be a little winey. And then I also add honey, clover honey, but you can use any kind of honey that you want. And my recipe again calls for half a cup of honey. So we're just gonna add honey, 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 honey. You can't add too much honey. That would not be possible. I suppose you could, but we're not gonna do that right now. And then last but not least, my second favorite Jewish tool, the chopper. Because as we all know, for Passover in particular, as Jews, we mash things. If it's fish, we mash it and make it into gefilte fish. If it's liver, we mash it, turn it into chopped liver. If it's herring, we mash it, we make it into chopped herring. And if it's charoset, we mash it and we make it into charoset. So I'm going to start mashing right now, and it's always a downward process. And I really apologize because I forgot the other quintessential Jewish tool with our chopper, our smasher. It is the wooden bowl. And the wooden bowl, every Jewish family that I've ever been aware of has a lovely wooden bowl. It's a one-piece wooden bowl that you can mash and pound into to your heart's content, and it grows over time, gets handed down from generation to generation. This particular wooden bowl was initially property of my stepmom, Nadine Greenberg, and it is a stunning wooden bowl. I believe this initially came out of a 400-year cherry tree that George Washington had cut down. Made that part up. So Henry, why don't you come in here so you can take a look at what's happening in the bowl. And we can start to see how the mixture is coming together little by little. It's starting to form a sensation of unity. So it's not independent tribes or independent pieces, but it's all one lovely mishmash that's going to live together in a harmony in the land of milk and of honey, with figs and apricots and apples and walnuts and more honey and some wine, and everyone's going to be happy. And once we get these people all living together, we put a big chopper on them, and we mash things together. This reminds me of a story from Helm, which is one of my favorite stories, about the original Schmendrick from Helm, Chaim Pupik, and how Chaim was able to convince the entire country of Poland, actually, I'm not sure where they were, I think it was Russia at the time, but being that Helm isn't a real place and Chaim Pupik never really existed, it could be anywhere. But regardless, everyone traded in at Passover time. They recognized that the Jews ate matzah, and the purpose of charoset was to provide the ideal product that can sit on top of the matzah. Chaim was a big believer in honey, because honey is able to take that charoset and kind of bind it together and make it just divine. You can start to see things are coming together lovely right now over here. Things are getting good, and I forgot a key ingredient. I gotta grab the cinnamon. One of the key ingredients that I forgot to add in there was 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon. I like cinnamon in my charoset. Some people like a little bit less. Some people even put ground ginger in their charoset, which is really good and adds a really big spark to the charoset, so to speak. I've even seen some people make charoset and do it from more of a savory kind of perspective, where they don't add the honey. I think that's criminal. Okay, I think that's completely criminal. Should not be allowed. When I go to a seder, I expect honey in my charoset. If it's not, I get sad, because it's not the way I was raised, and I would never necessarily raise my children not to put honey in their charoset. But I do understand and I do value other people that were raised on the other side of the fence, and they don't put honey in their charoset. I just don't like to party with them on Passover, because it's sad. That also goes for chopped liver in the food processor and food processors in general, which I'm not a big fan of food processors, because you start to look, what's going on here is things are starting to take a texture that's only going to happen with an actual chopper, a hand chopper. If all your pieces are exactly the same, it's not the same kind. Look at that, how beautiful this is. Just stunning how it comes together. Everything is kind of merging and mingling, and flavors are dancing. It's gonna pop. This is some good charoset right here. Okay, so we got that. And I think this will feed a family of, certainly in lockdown, this will feed a family of 4 without any kind of problems. I would guess this quantity of charoset at a seder will yield enough for a seder of about, let's say probably about 12 people at a seder. But if they really want leftovers, probably enough for 6 to 8. So let's just taste this. Let's go in here, see how this tastes. Oh my God. It's so delicious. It's delicious. Okay. I want to thank you all for hanging out with me. Have a lovely, lovely, lovely Passover with your family. And remember, it's all about family right now. It's about telling our kids how we were brought into this planet, telling our kids our story, and telling them the story of our people. That's what Passover is about. Enjoy the holiday. Chag Sameach. Thank you.